Hey, we are back for the picks 11 through 20, and we just to clarify, we did this just because people can find their teams easier in each video, and it just makes sense to just get 3 short videos instead of one very long
For
one.
sure.
So anyway, starting right off, I have 11, and the Jets are sitting there. They kind of wanted Lamb, and
Broncos jumped them.
the Broncos jumped him, so they need a wide receiver, and I think Justin Jefferson fits their scheme a little bit better than Judy does, so that's why I will have wide receiver out of LSU, Justin Jefferson, which is honestly I think my favorite wide receiver in this draft. I have Justin Jefferson going to the Jets.
All right, so at my pick 11, personally, I think, this isn't even a thought. It's obvious that this is the best wide receiver class to ever come in a long time. And I think if the New York Jets had the opportunity to take one of the big 4 offensive tackles, they should have. But Cleveland takes him. If you haven't seen that episode, go watch it, obviously. But the pick before him, they take Jedrick Wills. So there are none of those big 4 offensive tackles left. So they're going to go with, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the draft, Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama.
Okay, moving on, we have the Raiders. So with the Raiders, they were extremely happy that the Jets picked Jefferson because they wanted Judy. And they get Jerry Jeudy from Alabama, who is a great wide receiver, great route runner, and that will be huge for the Raiders to get another weapon like him because he's great hands and just amazing player. So
Add on to Tyrell Williams and last year's 6th-round pick, whatever his face is. God,
Hunter Renfrow?
Yeah, Hunter Renfrow. All right, at number 12, the Las Vegas Raiders. CeeDee Lamb is still on the board, but the Raiders are going to be smart and recognize that this is an extremely deep wide receiver class. And while they do need a wide receiver, they can take one later in the 1st round. And they're going to take C.J. Henderson, cornerback out of Florida, because corner is a huge need. I think their best corner right now is Daryl Worley. I don't know who comes after that. That's not necessarily going to win you games, especially in a division where you've got Patrick Mahomes. So they're going to beef up that secondary and take a wide receiver later.
Okay, moving on. 13, we got the Niners. They have the Colts pick after trading Buckner. And they don't necessarily go to the D-line right away. They instead go C.J. Henderson, who was just mentioned, from Florida. Great corner. Just a great corner that could really help the 49ers. Definitely be Richard Sherman's replacement coming down the road because it might be sooner rather than later. We saw that in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And so they definitely need someone right there for them.
And if you haven't watched the Combine, I'll just tell you C.J. Henderson looked like the best defensive back that's ever been in the Combine. Obviously not that good, but he did extremely well. So I think that helped his draft stock tremendously. Anyways, at 13, we've got San Francisco. They need a wide receiver. They lost Emmanuel Sanders in free agency, and while they traded DeForest Buckner to get this pick, they obviously still have one of the best, if not the best, defensive lines in football. So while Javon Kinlaw is there and it's tempting to replace Buckner, they are instead going to draft CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver out of Oklahoma, to boost that offense. Obviously, they're going to have Deebo Samuel, now CeeDee Lamb, and George Kittle in that offense with Raheem Mostert in the backfield. Matt Breida is coming back, and I think Jerick McKinnon is too on a tender. So that offense is going to be deadly, and let's see if the addition of CeeDee Lamb can get them back to the Super Bowl.
All right, moving on. The Buccaneers at 14, they just got Tom Brady, so they're going to go protect him, and Mekhi Becton's still on the board for me. So the offensive tackle out of Louisville, the big boy, he's going to help protect Tom Brady.
Massive person. So while I do agree that they need to protect Tom Brady, I think at 14, obviously, there's no tackles left for me. And I think that the talent of Javon Kinlaw... Andrew Thomas went at 6 for me. But I think that there's just no offensive line value at 14.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Obviously, Cesar Ruiz is awesome. Tyler, I don't even know how to say his last name. Like, Biadis? I don't know. Yeah, the center out of
he's more of a
Wisconsin.
Second-round pick, though.
Yeah, and so I just don't think that the value to take an interior lineman at 14 is there. So they're going to take a awesome talent, arguably the best player on the board, Javon Kinlaw.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so now moving back to 15 for the former Broncos pick, but now is the Jaguars pick for me. they traded back, got more picks than they already have. They're ready to load it with talent, and they get a very talented defensive tackle, Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. Great block shedding, pretty tenacious. Definitely a top 15 talent, so I think perfect that he goes at 15.
Yeah.
And it'll definitely help the Jags out because they need everything right now.
And they lost Derek Wolfe. They signed back Shelby Harris, so that makes sense. Beef up that defensive line. So for me, Denver is tempted to take a wide receiver. Obviously, Henry Ruggs is still there. Justin Jefferson's still there. And so with the temptation, they're going to succumb to it. They're going to take Justin Jefferson, wide receiver at LSU,
that would help them
over
more.
Henry Ruggs. Because Henry Ruggs, in my opinion, is a little bit overrated. While you cannot sit there and say speed isn't important, because if you looked at the Super Bowl, the teams that had the 2 highest average ball carrier speeds were the 49ers and the Chiefs. So you can't say speed doesn't matter. But I just don't think that Henry Ruggs
has it.
Well, he ran a 4.27, extremely quick, explosive. But I just don't think his ability to play wide receiver trumps the speed enough for him to be a top 15 pick.
Separation and route
exactly.
running. Yeah,
and this to me screams Ross that the Bengals took. And
that makes sense because he hasn't turned out.
Yeah, he really hasn't. I mean, injuries when you're that fast, moving that quick all the time. Henry Ruggs really hasn't been hurt before, but I think the possibility looms. So they're going to go with a big body wide receiver. Well, not really big body, but kind of big body wide receiver out of LSU, Justin Jefferson.
Okay, so moving on, I have 16, and this is where the Browns took the Falcons' amazing offer. And there's still Andrew Thomas for me because teams have overlooked him. I've seen multiple rumors and drafts where he just keeps falling 1 or 2 places, and honestly, I think that he was one of the top ones coming out of the year. He just got overshadowed by the combine and stuff, and just a lot of stuff has over him. I don't know how to explain that, but I think it falls perfectly to the Browns at 16 for Andrew Thomas, Georgia, offensive tackle.
And I have Andrew Thomas a little bit higher
than
most
6.
people, but oh well. At 16, Jacksonville has traded back with the Falcons. So here, Jacksonville is going to help out Gardner Minshew, and I was just bashing Henry Ruggs, but let's be real, the Jags just need talent, and talent comes with speed.
And if you can use his speed, he can be very good.
Yeah, and I think Gardner Minshew would probably be best throwing an 8-yard slant to Henry Ruggs and just watch him sprint down the field for 60 yards. So they're going to go with Henry Ruggs. They're going to boost that offense and just become a little bit better with Gardner Minshew at quarterback.
As much as I like to see that, I just don't see Ruggs.
Yeah,
I actually have Ruggs 21, so he'll be.
I struggled with that pick, but I don't know. I guess I just didn't trust my evaluation on him. I mean, I watched film on him
because everyone's so high on him.
Yeah, and I mean, some people are saying that the Jets might even take him at 11 or try to move up to take him at 11. Or it's crazy. But anyway, they're just gonna take him.
Yeah, I personally like KJ Hamler out of Penn State because he looks just as fast. But his route running and separation is just amazing. So anyway, moving on to 17, we get the Cowboys, and I think they just go best corner available to help the loss of Byron Jones, and they get the corner from LSU, Christian Fulton.
Yeah,
he's great one-on-one.
So for me, Dallas is sitting here with their fingers crossed, hoping that C.J. Anderson falls to them at 17, but he doesn't. Obviously, he goes at number 12, and Dallas is sitting here thinking, I mean, Christian Fulton is good, but do we take him at 17? No, we're going to go with the best player available, and in my opinion, that is K'Lavon Chaisson. I don't know how to say his name. It looks French.
That's true. He's
but great pass rusher out of LSU. He's good with speed. He's good with just bull rushing people. Just all in all, a solid modern-day pass rusher, and that's who they're going to get to boost that defense.
All right, moving on to the second Dolphins pick, which is 18. And I think they have sort of a weaker spot at linebacker. I think they can fill that spot. And so they get Patrick Queen out of LSU. So that's 2 LSU players right in a row. And Patrick Queen, he's pretty raw. His instincts aren't amazing yet.
It's a little bit of coaching.
His reads are a little fast and he can overrun stuff. But his athleticism is definitely there. He has all the tools. He just needs to be coached more and just more experience. And he'll be he could have a chance to be very good.
So you've actually got Queen going before Murray?
Yes. I
Wow.
I just look at the defenses, and I just looked at how bad Oklahoma was.
Yeah.
And how I just look at the leader of that defense, and it was Murray. And so I'm just like,
That's very true.
And LSU had a great defense.
So this has been a common trend with the last couple picks, Miami Dolphins. They're kind of in the same boat as Jacksonville. They're just going to take the best player available because they have 3 first-round picks, and they've got to make them all count. So they're going to go A.J. Epinesa out of Iowa to get a pass rusher who I think is kind of flying under the radar. Earlier in the season, he was kind of deemed as a top 5 pick, and then all of a sudden he's falling. And Miami, just like Dallas and C.J. Henderson crossing their fingers, Miami's going to get lucky, and A.J. Epinesa is going to be there, and they're going to, just like that, take him and obviously start building that defense. They've gotten a bunch of defensive, obviously. Why do I keep saying obviously? They've got Byron Jones. They got Kyle Van Noy. So the defense is in rebuild, and so they're going to add on to that and get A.J. Epinesa.
Yeah, and I have A.J. Epinesa also going to the Dolphins, but at 26, just because I think he's flying so far under the radar that he's going to fall there. And so moving on to the second Raiders pick, they obviously need another corner. For me, they used their pick on Jerry Jeudy. They do not pick A.J. Terrell, and we will explain that right now.
A.J. Terrell is questionable.
He had a pretty good season. In 2018 in the Natty, he picked off Tua for TD, or whoever was starting, was it Jalen? Anyway, he's obviously proven himself for multiple years, but Jamar Chase exposed him very badly. 9 catches for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't know what Clemson was doing trying to keep him one-on-one. He couldn't hang with him.
And what can't be understated is that he played 3 years and 3 pretty good years at Clemson.
So he's still a great player, but
we're going to keep bringing up the combine because we watched it, and A.J. Terrell fell over in a backpedaling drill. Like, that's something that you make your 3rd grade team run laps for, is falling over in the backpedaling drill.
And you're a corner, that's a big deal. Like, you can't say, you players don't mess up. Like, that's huge. That's a touchdown right there.
And, I mean, if you watch his film, he falls over in games, too.
He does.
And if you're giving me Julio Jones one-on-one and Julio Jones gives you a double move, he's probably going to fall over. And, I mean, he's undisciplined in the combine. There's a drill where they kind of run, like, almost a corner route, but in backpedaling. And they're just supposed to run, and when the drill guy says ball, that's when they look, and you can see Terrell kind of peeking over his shoulder before they say ball, and that's obviously concerning. Lack of discipline.
Could be due to nerves as well, but we just think that there's just too much undiscipline that we saw there.
Yeah.
And obviously Clemson players have been turning out great recently. I just think that one, I think first round's too high. So then, in my opinion, with that Raiders pick, they go with a different corner who has been amazing, had a great game against TCU. He's kind of small, but he is a fighter, high motor. You got Jeff Gladney from TCU corner. He's a dog. Like he plays with a lot of passion and a lot of motor.
I think energy. A dog is really like a good way to describe him. Like he's just got a lot of battle in him and a lot of want to. So that's a really, really good pick for Las Vegas.
Look at the Texas game against Colin Johnson. He holds his own very well.
For sure. All right, so the Raiders, for me, they took C.J. Henderson at 12, so they've already filled that need of a corner. Maybe they would have taken Jeff Gladney here if they would have taken C.D. Lamb at 12, but they just trusted their gut, went with C.J. Henderson, so now it's time to fill a need at wide receiver. And some of you guys are going to get mad at me, but I have him going Jalen Reagor, wide receiver out of TCU. Apparently, he ran a 4.2 unofficial, keyword unofficial, but this to me just is like a John Gruden pick, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, this is such a John Gruden
This feels like vintage Raiders, where they just used to draft the fastest person and put him at wide receiver. This to me just feels like a Raiders pick, and Jalen Reagor's got a little bit of grit to him, plays like he's got a chip on his shoulder, plays aggressive, and that just is what this, they moved to Las Vegas, almost kind of a new franchise, rebranded. And so here they are, moving out of the black hole, and they're going to take some exciting... Exactly, that's the key word. Some exciting John Gruden-like players, and they're going to take Jalen Reagor at 19.
Jalen didn't have the greatest year this year, but last year was a 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah.
I think the quarterback play didn't help him a lot, so I think if he goes here, I mean, if Derek Carr can find him, then I think with that opportunity, he can be great.
And talking about Derek Carr, I think we should just talk about Jordan Love right
I think
now.
we should do that.
Some people want him to take Jordan Love. Some people think Jordan Love should go at 6 or 5 even.
Or anywhere in the first round.
Yeah, I'm just not a huge fan of Jordan Love, all right?
17 picks?
Yeah, 20 touchdowns, 17 picks in the Mountain West. Did not necessarily have the most difficult schedule. Obviously, he played LSU, which is really difficult. But other than that, I mean, I don't know how you throw 17 picks in the Mountain West. He was never named first team All-Mountain West, which, if you're a first-round pick or a top 15 pick, like some people think he is, how do you not get named first team Mountain West at any point? Obviously, he's got a ridiculous arm. If you have not listened to our Elijah Halliburton interview, he talks on that a little bit, talks about how great his arm is, how it can put him everywhere. But even he says that he's got poor decision-making skills. Yeah. Wyoming picked him off twice that game. So, to me, Jordan Love just seems like he's too much of a risk. I mean, he's got the raw talent, but 17 picks, you don't win the football.
People want to find the next Mahomes, but he's not the next Mahomes because Mahomes is incredibly smart as well. And good decision making.
And the thing about the next Mahomes is people just think if you run around and throw it off your back foot and throw it far, you're the next Mahomes. Or if you play like kind of just uncanny, that you're the next Mahomes. If you look at Mahomes' tape, I don't know how the Chiefs drafted him, because if I look at Mahomes' college football tape, I would not draft him. I mean, he's just
risky.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And so the whole next Mahomes thing is ridiculous. Anyway, Vegas does not take a quarterback because there is not a good quarterback to take here, and they go Jalen Reagor.
Finally, the last pick we've got the Jags, 20.
Yeah.
And I just think they go best available. And the safeties in this draft, there's 3 top ones, and then I think there's a drop-off.
For sure.
There's Delpit, Winfield, and McKinney. And I think McKinney just fits the Jaguars mold well because he can blitz, he can play anywhere. Winfield's more of how do I say this?
He's kind of got more
outside the box. Covering.
Yeah.
Covering skills. And Delpit's more of a all-around player, but McKinney's a player that can come down on the run and
he likes to
play
stick
everywhere.
His nose and things.
He loves
light
that.
people up.
And I love McKinney, so I have McKinney going here, safety from Bama.
So for my pick 20, it's Jacksonville Jaguars staying here. And with the loss of A.J. Bouye to Denver and trading Jalen Ramsey to the Rams, with this pick, since they got a first round, they are going to take a corner who I think plays a little bit like Jalen Ramsey. As we talked about Jeff Gladney, this is who I think they're going to take here. Or not who I think they're going to take, who they should take here. Plays like Jalen Ramsey, kind of scrappy, loves to get physical. And obviously you heard our discussion about Jeff Gladney earlier, so I'm not going to go into it again. But they're going to draft Jeff Gladney.
Okay, that wraps it up. And we'll be back for part 3, bring back NCAA. Haha.